This video is brought to you by Dashlane. Go to dashlane.com/polyphonic to start a free 30-day trial today. There's a 14th century manuscript in the Library of Oxford University called the Red Book of Hergest. That manuscript contains Welsh poems and prose, written versions of oral storytelling traditions that date back centuries earlier. Among these is the Mabinogion, the oldest known collection of Welsh prose and one of the earliest pieces of literature in British history. The Mabinogion is a collection of myths and fairy tales, including stories about kings and heroes, gods and goddesses, witches and monsters. In fact, if not for the Mabinogion, we might not have the genre of fantasy as we know it today. The work was a huge influence on J.R.R. Tolkien. There are parallels abound between the Mabinogion and the Silmarillion, and Tolkien's stories are even said to be taken from the Red Book of Westmarch. But Tolkien isn't the only connection to the Red Book that you might recognize. One of the biggest figures throughout that ancient text is a powerful goddess who goes by the name Rhiannon. Let's take a closer look. When Stevie Nicks wrote Rhiannon, she had actually never heard of the Mabinogion. She first encountered Rhiannon through the novel Triad by Mary Leader. That book tells the story of a modern-day Welsh woman possessed by an alter ego named Rhiannon. The name intrigued Nicks, and so she started to build this idea of who Rhiannon might be. Nicks's Rhiannon is different from Leader's, and in fact she falls more in line with the mythical figure. In the Mabinogion, Rhiannon is a beautiful, magical woman who runs off from her marriage in the fairy world to be with Pull, a Welsh prince. Nicks's Rhiannon is similarly beautiful, wild, and free. In her mind, Rhiannon is representative of what music meant to her. Music was uplifting, it was freedom from the pains and stresses of the world. And music plays clearly into her lyrics. The opening lines of the song compare Rhiannon to a ringing bell.
Rhiannon rings like a bell through the night, and wouldn't she love to love her?
Within Nicks's song, Rhiannon is also intrinsically tied to birds, something she explained in a 1979 interview with Rolling Stone. This legend of Rhiannon is about the song of the birds that take away pain and relieve suffering. That's what music is to me. The birds are representative of music and of the freedom of flight.
Takes to the sky like a bird in flight, and who will be her lover?
Though the birds came from Nicks's own mind, they also parallel Rhiannon of the Mabinogion. According to the Welsh myth, Rhiannon has 3 mystical birds that can wake the dead and lull the living into sleep. This description fits the supernatural birds that Nicks writes about perfectly. But the lyrics aren't the only part of what makes Rhiannon so magical. The music is an essential part of the song. The arrangement of Rhiannon echoes the duality of the character, the dark mystery of magic, and the bright, uplifting hope of music. The verses are made up of repeating A minor and F chords. The music is dark and sultry, like walking through a mystic wood in search of Rhiannon. Then when the chorus hits, our A minor becomes an uplifting C major. Stevie Nicks told Jim Ladd what she wanted the band to accomplish on this song. It's just about a very mystical woman that finds it very, very hard to be tied down in any kind of way, and she's uplifting all through the song. That's what I wanted to get, and that's what the band got really well, was that uplifting of wings kind of a feel, you know? When you feel like you see a seagull and she's like lifting up. The sense of growth continues through the song thanks to a driving drum beat and an increasingly large arrangement. All this combined to be a successful song, one that topped out at number 11 on the Billboard Hot 100, but Nicks never imagined that kind of success for the song. In fact, she didn't want to release the song as a single for fear of what would mean if the character didn't enrapture audiences like it did her. Nicks told BBC about her feelings on the commercial side of the song. I didn't write Rhiannon for commerciality. I wrote Rhiannon because I loved her name, and I loved her story. I didn't want her to be sold. She is simply not for sale and never has been. The love and care that Nyx has for Rhiannon comes through in the studio version, but to truly appreciate the magic of the song, you need to listen to live performances. Shortly after writing Rhiannon, Nyx learned more about the Welsh myth. The parallels she noticed between her song and the myth fascinated her, so Nyx began to channel that in her live performances. She would wear flowing robes and dark outfits befitting a Welsh witch, and she would take the song into newer, more intense places. In this 1976 performance on Midnight Special, you can see the passion overcoming Nyx. It almost seems as though Rhiannon herself is possessing Stevie Nicks, throwing her into a violently spiritual performance. Nyx's performances of Rhiannon became so intense that she would sometimes blow her voice out singing during the song's climax. In an interview with Crawdaddy, she described the process of performing Rhiannon. Rhiannon is the heavy-duty song to sing every night. On stage, it's a real mind tripper. Everybody, including me, is just blitzed by the end of it. And I put out so much in that song that I'm nearly down. There's something to that song that touches people. I don't know what it is, but I'm really glad it happened. While Rhiannon immortalizes Stevie Nicks' connection with the Welsh goddess, she actually tried to expand on that song throughout her career. In the late 70s and early 80s, Nicks even had a plan to make a musical movie based on the Rhiannon myth. She wrote a number of other songs based on it, but unfortunately, nothing ended up coming from the project. Still, some remnants can be found across Nicks' career. Maker of Birds is a demo from that project that sings of Pull and Rhiannon's love.
She sat alone, and it seemed to him that the light.
And then there's Angel, which made it onto Fleetwood Mac's 1979 album, Tusk.
So I close my eyes softly till I become that call of the wind.
Much of that song was directly inspired by Rhiannon and Nicks' imagined project. While a bigger project never did end up materializing, Rhiannon still looms large over the career of Stevie Nicks. Before Rhiannon, Stevie Nicks was a young, talented singer-songwriter. After Rhiannon, she ascended to something else entirely. For many, Nicks herself is the embodiment of Rhiannon. She's a mystical force, an otherworldly being, waiting in the woods to find you and set you free with the beauty and power of music. You don't need the magic of a Welsh goddess to make your internet browsing easier. All that you need for that is Dashlane. Dashlane is a mobile and desktop app that creates shortcuts for everything you do online. It lets you fill forms, payment details, and passwords fast and with only one click. And while doing all of this, it keeps your information safe. With Dashlane, you can generate a strong, unique password for each site, but you don't need to remember all of them. All of that is stored on Dashlane directly on your device, so the only thing you need access to is your computer and a master password. I've been using Dashlane for a few months now, and it's honestly a really seamless process that has made my internet browsing feel more secure and convenient. When I'm buying stuff online, I don't need to dig up my credit card, my frequent flyer number, or any other information. And it's also got a built-in VPN, so you can browse securely and watch entertainment from around the world. If you want to give it a shot now, you can try it out absolutely free for 30 days by going to dashlane.com/polyphonic. Once you're done that trial, you can use the coupon code Polyphonic to get 10% off your purchase. I can honestly tell you that when I got Dashlane, I was really excited for the security, but what's wowed me since is how convenient it has made my internet browsing. So try it out yourself by heading over to dashlane.com/polyphonic. That'll get you a 30-day free trial, and it'll also show Dashlane that I sent you, which is really a big help for my channel.